A very warm welcome to all the students for today's lecture. Today we are going to discuss the closure properties of regular languages. Now these regular languages, they exhibit certain closure properties. In fact, there are 7 closure properties that we are going to see today. Okay, so it says like this: if we have two regular languages L1 and L2, if we are given two regular languages L1 and L2, then the first property says union of two regular languages L1 and L2, that is L1 union L2, is also regular. Okay. Second property is the intersection property. It says intersection of two regular languages, that is L1 intersection L2, is also regular. Third property is complement property. It says complement of a regular language L1, this is the way how complement is written, is also regular. Fourth property says set difference. Set difference of two regular languages L1 and L2, which is written as L1 minus L2, is also regular. Clean star. Clean star over a regular language L1, which is written as L1 raised to star, is also regular. Concatenation. Concatenation of two regular languages L1 and L2, which is written as L1 dot L2, is also regular. And the last property is a reversal property, which says reversal of a regular language L1, which is written as L1 raised to R, is also regular. So these are the closure properties of regular languages. Now for each of this property there is a proof. Okay, so in this particular lecture we are going to just have an overview how it is proved that union of two languages is also regular, intersection of two languages also regular, and so on. We are going to see the proofs. Okay, so let us head on to the first proof. We are supposed to prove that given two regular languages L1 and L2, given two regular languages L1 and L2, then the language L3, which is nothing but L1 union L2, is also a regular language. Okay, now proof is very simple. It is given that L1 and L2 are regular languages. It is already given to us. Therefore, since L1 and L2 are regular languages, and we know the fact, for any regular language there is a regular expression or there is a finite automata. So this proof over here we are going to prove, okay, using two things. First, we will show that for the given languages L1, L2, and for the union L1 union L2, there exists a regular expression. So once we show that for this L1 union L2 there is a regular expression, we can easily say that whichever language which is regular expression has to be a regular language. Secondly, we are also going to prove that if M1 and M2, capital M1 and capital M2 are the finite automatas for the languages L1 and L2, then there also exists a finite automata capital N, which is nothing but union of these two languages. So we are going to show it in both the ways. Okay, so let's start. So it is given that L1 and L2 are regular languages. Therefore, there must be some regular expression, say R1 and R2 respectively, representing language L1 and L2. Obvious. So then the regular expression representing L1 union L2 is written as R1 plus R2. Why? Because we have already seen in the first unit that whenever regular language is converted to regular expression, okay, all the curly brackets are converted into parenthesis, and wherever there is comma is written with plus, and also wherever there is union we replace union with plus. So what we are doing is, we already know language L1 has a regular expression R1, language L2 has a regular expression, that is R2. So L1 union L2 can be represented as R1 plus R2. Now next task is, if the regular expression that we have got, is it a valid regular expression? R1 plus R2 is a valid regular expression, and since it's a valid regular expression, it simply means that for the resultant language L1 union L2, we are able to design a valid regular expression, and hence L1 union L2 has to be a regular language. A very simple and efficient way of proving that L1 union L2 is also a regular language, knowing that L1 individually and L2 individually are regular. Now further, now we will try to design an automata and show that for the resultant language there also exists an automata. Okay, so I am saying if we are given two automatas, let's say capital N1, which is nothing but Q1 sigma Q01 A1 del. So let capital M1 be the automata that recognizes language L1, which is given to us. It's a regular language, they have told us. So that means there has to be a finite automata that represents L1. So let M1 be that finite automata that recognizes language L1, which is regular. And how is M1? M1 has these tuple elements: Q1 set of finite states, sigma input alphabet, Q01 assume that it's an initial state of this machine, A1 set of final state of the machine, and del1 are all the transitions of that machine M1. M1 is an automata for the language L1. Also it is given that L2 is a regular language. So for L2 also there must be an automata. So let's say M2 is an automata that represents language L2. And how is M2? M2 has Q2. Q2 is finite set of states, sigma input alphabet. Now for this Q02 will be the initial state, A2 will be the set of final states, and del2 will be all the transitions. Okay, so we have assumed that let M1 and M2 be two automatas that recognize the languages L1 and L2. Then a new machine capital N, which is Q sigma Q0 A del, okay, such that this machine N is nothing but it is a result of union of two languages, such that this N is basically M1 union M2. Okay, so this N, which is nothing but M1 union M2, can be obtained as follows. And this is a set of procedure that we are going to follow. Okay, now first, all the states and transitions of the first machine M1 and the second machine M2, all of them are added to N. So first thing what we need to do, all the states and transitions of both the machines should be added to N. That means let N be such that the states and transitions of N are nothing but all the transitions and states of capital M1 and all the transitions and states of capital M2. Then a new state Q0 is added to N. So then you create a new state Q0 and add it to N. And this new state is made as initial state. Okay, this new state is made as initial state of N. Then a null transition is given from Q0 to Q01. A null transition is given from Q0 to Q02. And then the accepting states of M1 and M2 are made as accepting states of N. So I will just show you this with the help of an example. So this is a pictorial representation. So let's assume that this is an automata M1 which recognizes capital L1, and this is the automata M2 that recognizes capital L2. Now this dot 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 means there are more states and transitions which I have not shown. Okay, that's why dot dot dot. Okay, so let's head on and let us design. Okay, N, which is nothing but M1 union M2 will be, how it will be? The first step here, it tells you that all the states and transitions of both the machines are added to N. So first thing is we are going to add all the states and transitions of machine M1 and machine M2. So let's draw the states and transitions of machine M1. So Q01 is the initial state of that machine M1, and then I have assumed that there are more transitions, there are more states which are not shown, and Q1n is supposed to be the final state of that machine. Okay, so just assume that this is that machine M1. Okay, so this is that machine M1. Let's also assume that, okay, so first all the states and transitions of M1 are added, then I am going to add all the states and transitions of M2. Okay, so M2, its initial state is Q02, so I am going to add it here. Let's say Q02 is the initial state, and then dot 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 dot, and the final state of machine M2 is Q2N. Okay, so let's assume that this is the final state of this is the final state of M2, and this is machine M2. So N will be such that first step, all the states and transitions of M1 and M2 are added to N. So what I have done, the entire automata M1 along with its states and transitions, the entire automata M2 along with its states and transitions, I am assuming that it is added to N. N is the resultant machine automata, which is union of the first automata and the second automata. Okay, so first step is over. In the second step, what we say, a new state Q0 is added to N. So to this N, I am going to add a new state and I will call it as Q0. Let Q0 be a new state added to the machine N. Okay, so a new state Q0 is added to N and it is made as the initial state, and I assume that Q0 is the initial state of the given machine N. Fine, so I have made it as initial state. So the second step is over. Third step, a null transition is given from Q0 to Q01. So it simply means that Q0 and Q01 has to be connected with a null transition. So Q01 no longer is the initial state. Okay, Q01 no longer is the initial state. It is just a simple state, normal state. Okay, so a null transition is added from Q0 to Q01. Fine. Then next what it tells you, fourth step, a null transition is given from Q0 to Q02. So one null transition is from Q0 to Q01, second null transition is from Q0 to Q02. So that means Q02 is no longer the initial state. So let me erase this Q02, the link to it, and let us draw a null transition from Q0 to Q02. Fine. So far it's okay. And then accepting states of M1 and M2 are made as accepting states of M. So what to get here, this diagram, this is basically the resultant NFA N, which is nothing but it is the union of M1 and M2. Fine, it's a union of M1 and M2. Now that means at any point of time from Q0, either you can go to this branch and the machine then acts like a M1 machine, or at any point of time it can switch to this branch and the machine will act like M2 machine. So basically N is a machine where either M1 or M2, either M1 branch or M2 branch will be followed. So this is N. So then further, if what I say is, okay, after following this procedure and after showing you how to draw automata, okay, so this is that N, okay, I can now say the strings accepted by both automata M1 and M2, they are accepted by N. Looking at the figure, whatever strings that are accepted by M1, it will be accepted in this branch. Whatever strings that are accepted by M2 will be accepted through this particular branch. Okay, so that's why the strings accepted by both automata, that is M1 and M2, are accepted by N. The automata N is then formally defined as follows. So N is Q sigma 1 Q0 A del, where what is Q? Q is set of finite states. Okay, now what will be the different states? The set of finite states will be all the states listed in M1, all the states listed in M2. So union of all the states in M1, union of all the states in M2, plus, okay, there is one extra state, that is Q0. which actually connects both the machines, right? So the set of final states of this final machine n will be, first it will be q1. Q1 is set of all the states in machine m1 union with q2. This is set of all the finite states in machine m2 union one extra state, that is q0, which we have just created, which connects null transition. Through null transition it connects both the automata. So q0 is one extra state. So this will be q of the resultant machine n. Similarly, what will be the input? Please note the input I have written here is sigma 1. So input sigma 1 will be sigma, because both these automatas, whether it is m1 or whether it is m2, both have sigma as input alphabet. But the resultant automata here, okay, there is one extra input and that is null input. Okay, so that's why sigma 1, which is the input alphabet of n, is nothing but sigma, which is alphabet set of m1 and m2, plus there is a extra alphabet that is a null symbol for null transitions. Then what will be the final states of the resultant machine n? I told you all the final states of m1 and all the final states of m2 will constitute of the final states of the resultant machine n, and that's why the final state of the resultant machine will be a1 union a2. Okay, what will be the transitions of this n? Okay, it will include all the transitions of machine m1, it will include all the transitions of machine m2, plus there will be extra transition, and these are the extra transition, that is from q0 on reading null it goes to q01, right? So from a particular state q in general on reading null it will go to either q01 or it will go to q02. So this will be the transitions. Okay, so finally what we can say, okay, once we have drawn this, so I will end the proof now. So we can say, since a finite automata for L1 and L2 is possible, since a finite automata for, okay, L1 union L2 is possible, okay, therefore L1 union L2, okay, it must be or it has to be a regular language. So this is how I have proved that, okay, given two languages L1 and L2, then the union of both the languages, that is L1 union L2, is also a regular language. Now in this second proof we are going to prove that given a language L1, then L1 bar is also a regular language. Okay, the proof is very simple. The statement implies that when there is a regular language L, there must be a finite automata to accept strings which are not in the language. It's very simple. So what we have to do is, I have just listed a small procedure. The states of DFA are analyzed to determine whether the given DFA is complete. So first, whichever DFA which is there representing language L1, you check whether that DFA is complete or no. That means from each state of that DFA, is a transition happening on every input symbol. Suppose sigma is 0, 1. Then find out from each state of the DFA, is there a transition defined on 0 and also on 1? Suppose it is not. Suppose transition on one particular input symbol is missing. Okay. Okay, suppose we find that in DFA there are no transitions on reading some input symbols, then step 1 is performed, and then after performing step 1 you are going to step 2, otherwise you can directly go to step 2. Okay, now what are the step 1 and step 2? So the first step says introduce a new state called as dead state, and the transitions are added from the state to the dead state on left out input symbols. Okay, then once this is done, in the step 2 the accepting states are made as non-accepting states and vice versa. Okay, so first let us see what step 1 does. Suppose there is a suppose L1 is the given language to us. Suppose L1 is given to us, and assume that M1 is an automata for L1. And what is M1? Suppose it starts from Q0 state. Suppose Q0 on 0 goes to Q0. Q0 on 1 goes to Q1. Okay. Then Q1 on 1 goes to Q2. And assume that Q2 is the final state. Now Q2 on 0, it goes to Q1, and Q2 on 1, it goes to, suppose, Q0. Suppose this is the automata given to us. Okay. So let's assume that L1 is the language, regular language, and assume that M1 is the automata for the given language. Now we have to prove what? We have to prove that L1 bar complement, for which the machine that we shall draw is M1 bar. Okay. L1 bar, okay, for which machine that we are going to draw is M1 bar, is also regular. So to prove that L1 bar is regular, we will have to prove that drawing automata M1 bar is possible. And to draw automata, those two steps which I have given have to be followed. Now the first step, okay, first step that is told over here, introduce a new state called as dead state, and transitions are added from the state to the dead state on left out symbols. This step 1 is used only when for certain nodes there are not all transitions which are defined. Now for example, for this automata over here, what is sigma? Sigma is 0, 1. Agreed? Now let's now check. Q0 on 0 goes to Q0 itself. Q0 on 1, it goes to Q1. So both transitions are defined for state Q0. But when you consider Q1 on 1, it goes to Q2. But Q1 on 0 does not go anywhere. Okay. So Q1 on 1, it goes to Q2. But Q1 on 0, the transition is missing. So as the first step, you have to create a new state. I will just call it as state D, a dead state. And then for whichever transitions which are not defined yet, you have to extend transition from that state Q1 to D, okay, on that missing input symbol, it is 0. So why I did this? I have created a new state which is nothing but a dead state. And what actually I have done? What I have done is, since for state Q1, on reading 1 there was a transition defined, but on reading 0 there was no transition defined. So for that missing transition, I created a state called as dead state, and I defined from Q1 on 0 it goes to the dead state. Fine. Now let's see whether Q2 is complete. Now Q2 on 0 it goes to Q1 defined. Q2 on 1 also it goes to Q0. So one transition which was not defined, that was for Q1, for which I have created a dead state and I have created that transition. Okay, so this ends step 1. Okay, so what we have done, we have just created a new state, and for any missing transition we have to connect the state with the dead state. Now after following step 1, then we have to move to step 2. Step 2 is very simple. Accepting states are made as non-accepting states and vice versa. So what you do, whichever are the accepting states, you make them non-accepting states, and whichever are the non-accepting states, make them accepting states. So looking at this diagram, you can easily see that Q0 is a non-accepting state. Is it a final state? No. So step 2 tells you, if it is not a final state, make it a final state. So make this as a final state. Similarly, Q1 is not a final state, so make this also as a final state. Okay. Now don't do it for the dead state. Remember, we are not supposed to do this thing for the dead state. Dead state is an extra state. Step 1 and step 2, whatever we are doing, we have to apply it only to the original nodes of the state, not to the dead state. And Q2 over here, which is a final state, now it is no longer a final state, so make it a non-final state. Okay, so Q2 over here is a non-final state. So what you have got here, this will be the DFA M1 bar. So it will accept exactly the strings which were rejected by M1. Okay, so this is basically the formula that I have used. Now let us see how it actually works. So I have taken an example. I have taken an example. Now this is an automata that we had already seen. A finite automata that ensures that the strings are of zeros and ones. Okay, there is no restriction on the first half, but the string should always end with 1 0. Okay, so let's consider that L1 is a given language. Let's consider that L1 is a given regular language. And M1 is the automata for that given regular language L1. Step 1. First find out each state. There are 3 states now. Is each state having all the transitions? Is the automata complete? Okay. Q0 on reading 0 it goes to Q0. Q0 on reading 1 it goes to Q1. Transitions are defined for both. Agreed? Let's check for Q1. Q1 on 0 goes to Q2. Q1 on 1 goes to itself. So both the transitions are defined for Q1 also. Q2 on 1 goes to Q1. Q2 on 0 goes to Q0. So for all these 3 states, all the transitions are defined on 0 and 1. So this step 1 is not required. So that's what it says. If it is not required, that means else, directly step 2 is carried out. And what is step 2? Accepting states are made non-accepting states and vice versa. So what do you do? Whichever is the final state, make it non-final state. Whichever is the non-final state, make it final state. So Q0 was a non-final state. So I will make this Q0 as a final state now. Okay. Q0 is final state. Similarly, Q1 is also non-final state. I make Q1 also as a final state. Agreed? Let's see. Let's check what will happen in this case now. Okay. And Q2, which was a final state, I now make it as a non-final state. Now observe, L1 is a language that is given to us. And what is that language? Language accepting strings of zeros and ones where the string always ends with 1 0. Okay. Now the automata that we have got, okay, is no longer the same automata. It has become M1 bar. So it will accept all the strings which are exactly opposite of this. So this is the automata. You can trace and check. That will accept all strings except those ending with 1 0. Correct? Because see, it will accept all possible strings, all the other strings ending with 0 1, ending with 0 0, ending with 1 1, all the strings will be accepted. See, ending with 0 0 accepted, ending with 1 1 accepted, ending with 0 1 also accepted. But the moment it is 1 0, okay, after 1 you go to 0, this is the final state, earlier final state, now you have made it as a non-final state. So this is a complement of the original automata that was given to us. So M1 bar. Fine. So this automata, after following the procedure, the 2 steps, is the one wherein automata can accept all the possible states except those ending with 1 0. So this is complement of the given automata, given language. Okay. So for this M1 bar, the language is L1 bar. So then we say here, since it is possible to construct a finite automata to recognize L1 bar, that means L1 bar should be regular, no? This is the automata that we have designed to accept L1 bar. Okay, L1 bar is exactly complement of L1. We had already drawn automata for L1. This is the automata for L1 earlier. Then we drew automata for M1 bar. M1 bar was an automata for the language L1 bar. So since it is possible to draw M1 bar, since it is possible to draw automata for L1 bar, L1 bar itself should be regular. That's what it says. The proof is slightly tricky, not difficult, but this is the only good way to prove that given a language L1, then L1 bar, its complement, is also a regular language. This third proof, we have to prove that given two regular languages L1 and L2, the intersection, that is L1 intersection L2, is also a regular language. Now this kind of proof is bit tricky. Okay, so I can say that we all know there is something called as De Morgan's law. Okay, so I can say that the statement it can be proved indirectly by proving that using De Morgan's law, okay, as follows. Now, if you consider De Morgan's law, L1 intersection L2, it can be equivalently written as L1 bar union L2 bar. Okay, so L1 intersection L2 can be equivalently written as L1 bar union L2 bar. Okay, now we are given two languages L1 and L2. Okay, so first we will have to prove. Okay, I will just tell you the overview how we can do. So we have to prove that L1 bar and L2 bar are regular. Now we have already seen a proof number 2, wherein we said if L1 is regular, then L1 bar is also regular. So a student will have to write that proof, okay, and show that since L1 and L2 are given as regular languages, L1 bar and L2 bar are regular. Okay, so you have to prove using proof 2. I am not rewriting it, but a student have to write this proof 2, and you have to prove individually that L1 bar and L2 bar are regular. Now once we do that, okay, once we know that L1 bar, L2 bar is also regular, okay, then we can use the proof 1 that we have already seen, that if L1 and L2 are regular, then L1 union L2 is also regular. So in our case, we will have to show using proof 1, we can show that L1 bar union L2 bar is also regular. And once we prove that L1 bar union L2 bar is regular, okay, it is equivalent to saying that L1 intersection L2 is regular. So this is basically a skeleton that a student should follow in order to prove this indirect kind of proof. So what you need to do, first L1 intersection L2 using De Morgan's law can be written in an equivalent way, that is L1 bar union L2 bar. Now we are already told that L1 and L2 are regular, so we will have to individually prove, separately we will have to prove first L1 bar and then L2 bar, we will have to prove them that they are regular. Okay, what you all can do is you all can use this proof, use this proof number 2 to prove the result. So try to prove it for L1, and then you can say similarly L2 bar is also regular. That's what you can say. So you have to do it here. Okay. Now once you have proved that L1 bar and L2 bar is regular, then what you do? You can use proof number 2. You can use proof number 1 Okay, you can use proof number 1. Once you have proved L1 bar, L2 bar is regular, you can use proof number 1, and using proof number 1 you then prove that L1 bar and L2 bar is regular. Now before beginning this proof number 1, you can say given two regular languages L1 bar, L2 bar, because when you reach here you already know that L1 bar and L2 bar is regular. So proof number 1 then gets modified like this. Then you can say the statement of proof number 1 will be given two regular languages L1 bar, L2 bar, we can prove that L1 bar union L2 bar is regular using the following method. You can say it like this, and then what method you are going to use? Method is nothing but proof 1. So you can take the help of proof 1, that is given two languages L1 L2, then L1 union L2 is also regular. You can use this proof 1. You can try to show an automata like this N, which is nothing but union of M1 and M2, and once you do that, since L1 bar union L2 bar is possible, that means since finite automata for L1 bar and L2 bar is possible, we can then say that L1 bar union L2 bar has to be also regular language. Okay, so I will not formally write the proof for this one, for intersection 1, but I have just shown you the skeleton how to prove this particular proof. So you can try it at home. In this proof, you are asked to prove that given two languages L1 and L2, then the set difference, that is L1 minus L2, is also regular. Now let us go to the definition of set difference. Actually this proof also is indirectly proved, so I will just show you the overview how you can proceed and how you can prove it. So first let's go to the definition of what is A minus B. So set difference A minus B, it is actually equivalent of writing A intersection B bar. It simply means set difference of two sets A and B. It simply means something that is present in A and something which is not present in B. Something which is present in A and it is not present in B, that comes in set difference. Okay, so what we will do is, so this is a general formula that we have. So now in this particular problem it is given L1 and L2 are regular. Now how can I write L1 minus L2? L1 minus L2 can be equivalently written as L1 intersection L2 bar. So if we are able to prove, okay, so this is that result. If we are able to prove this, it simply means that this is proved. Okay, now how should we prove L1 intersection L2? How to prove this? Now we have already discussed in the previous proof number 2. Okay, proof number 2 tells that if L, okay, it says that if L is regular, then L bar is also regular. Okay, and the proof number 3 that we have seen just before this particular proof, proof number 3 tells you that if L1 and L2 are regular, then L1 intersection L2 is also regular. Okay, so we will actually make use of these two. Now in this proof it is already told you that L1 and L2 are regular. So what we can do is we can prove L1 intersection L2 bar. If we are able to prove that L1 intersection L2 bar is regular, then it means you have already proved that set difference L1 minus L2 is regular. Now, it is known to us that L1 is regular. Okay, L1 is regular. So, using proof number 2, okay, we have to prove we know that L2 is regular, so we have to prove that L2 bar is regular. Okay, we already know that L2 is regular, so we have to prove L2 bar is regular. So you can use this proof number 2, okay, which is if L is regular, L bar is also regular. You use this proof number 2 to prove that L2 bar is also regular. At this moment, okay, after proving proof number 2, we know that L1 and L2 bar are regular. Okay, so then we have to only prove now that L1 intersection L2 bar is also regular. Okay, so given or known that L1 and L2 bar is regular, we have to prove that L1 intersection L2 bar is also regular. So we can do this using proof number 3. In the statement we say given L1 and L2 bar are regular, okay, we have to prove that L1 intersection L2 bar is also regular, and this easily can be proved using proof number 3. And what proof number 3 says? Proof number 3 says if two input languages are known to be regular, then intersection of both those languages is also regular. So you can use proof number 3 for that. So this is how you can actually prove that set difference of two regular languages is also regular. Okay, advice to your students, although I have written here using proof 2, using proof 3, when you are proving, you will have to actually prove using those two proofs. Maybe rewrite the proof for that particular language. Okay, proof. We are told that L1 and L2 are given as regular, and we have to prove that L1 dot L2, that is concatenation of two languages, that is L3, is also regular language. So the proof is very straightforward. So what I say, since it is known that L1 is regular, I can have an automata. So I say that M1 be a finite automata representing the language L1. Let M2 be a finite automata representing the language L2. So let M1 and M2 be two automatas representing both the regular languages which are given to us, L1 and L2. If we are able to show that there exists an automata N, that is M1 dot M2, representing the language L, that is L1 dot L2, then we say that L1 dot L2 is regular. So it simply means that if we are able to design an automata N, that is basically concatenation of both the automatas that we have designed, such that that automata should represent the language, that is concatenation of two languages, L1 dot L2. Okay, so when I say L1 dot L2, what it means? Whatever is the output of L1 should be given as input to L2, right? And L2 should give the final output. So if we are able to show that there exists an automata, or if we are able to design an automata N, okay, which represents L1 dot L2, then only we can say that the language L1 dot L2 is regular. So now, without wasting time, we shall use a proof by construction method, and we shall use the following procedure to construct the automata capital N as follows. Okay. First, all the states and transitions of M1 and M2 are added to N, where M1 is automata for language L1, M2 is automata for language L2. So as a first part, what we have to do, all the states and transitions of M1 and M2, they are added to N. Now let's assume that M1 is this automata which accepts L1, M2 is this automata that accepts L2. So as a first step, what we are going to do, we are going to draw all states and transitions of M1 and M2 will be added to N. So let N be as follows. Okay. Now what are the states and transitions of M1? Say Q01 is the initial state of machine M1. Okay, and I have not shown other states, that's why ... Final state of this machine M1 is Q1N, right? So let's say this is one machine, so this is part of N, and the second machine is Q02. Its start state is Q02, and there are more states which we have not shown, and Q2N happens to be the final state of this machine. Okay, so this is what this means, that all the states and transitions of both the machines M1 and M2, they are added to N. Okay. Second step, the initial state of M1 is made initial state of N. Okay, so why we do that? Initial state of M1 is made the initial state of N, since all the strings in L should begin with strings in L1, because when I say L is the resultant language of L1 dot L2, it simply means that all the strings in L, okay, all the strings in this L, it should begin with L1 only, and then the output of this L1 is given to L2. Okay, fine. So initial state of M1 is made as initial state of N. So which is initial state of, so this is that machine M1 accepting language L1, this is that machine M2 accepting language L2. So initial state of M1 should be made as initial state of N. So that means Q01 happens to be the initial state of this machine N. Okay. Further, accepting states of M2 are made accepting states of N, since the strings in N must end with strings in L2. Again here, when I say L equal to L1 dot L2, it simply means that the strings in L, okay, it should end with the strings in L2, because the output of L1 is given to L2 and L2 is going to give you the final output. Okay, L1 takes the input, the output of L1 is given to L2, and then L2, whatever output L2 gives, will be the final output, right? So the initial state of M1 will be the initial state of the machine N. Okay, this is the initial state, and which will be the final state? Whichever are the final states of M2 will be final state of machine N, which simply means that final state of this machine M1 is no longer a final state anymore. It's a normal state now. Okay, that's the meaning of it. So which will be the final state of N? The final state of the second machine, no matter how many are there, they will be the final state of N. Whereas the final state of machine 1 is no longer the final state, because the output which comes over here will be then given as input to the second machine. Correct? So that's the meaning of it. Then the automata M1 and M2 are connected with a null transition from all the accepting states of M1 to the initial state of M2. Now in this diagram here, there was only one accepting state of M1. So null transitions have to be drawn from all the accepting states of M1, which are now no longer accepting states, to the initial state of M2. So M1 and M2 are connected with null transition. Now if there were more final states in M1, all those final states of machine M1, all of them would have been connected to Q02, which is the initial state of M2. All of them. Okay. The final state of M1 now, which are no longer the final states, all of them will be linked to the initial state of M2 with null transition. That's the meaning of it. So with this, now if you observe this automata, just see the input will be given to Q01. This automata is going to process the input. So Q1n, by the time we reach Q1n, the output is given out from the first automata M1. Now that output is connected to the second machine. That means that output is given as input to the next machine. The processing starts here. Okay. Now when you connect these automatas with null transition, it simply means that Q1n state is almost equivalent to Q02 state. So whatever input which was given to Q1n, that can continue proceeding from Q02. So are we able to draw an automata? Yes. So this is the resultant automata. Okay, this is the resultant automata n. And then finally we can say, since finite automata for accepting language L1 dot L2 is possible, okay, we can say therefore L1 dot L2 is a regular language. Okay, and automata n is formally defined as n equal to q sigma q naught a del, where q happens to be q1 union q2, where q1 is the set of final states of machine M1, q2 is the set of final states of machine M2. Sigma is the input alphabet, so sigma is sigma 1 union null. Okay, sigma 1 is the input alphabet of M1 and M2. Now what is sigma? You see in this particular diagram, it's a null NFA that we get. So apart from sigma, the normal input symbol, there is also an extra symbol that is null. So sigma is sigma 1 union with null string, where sigma 1 is the input alphabet for both machine 1 as well as machine 2. Okay, what will be the final state A? Final state will be only the final state of the second machine. Okay, initial state will be only the initial state of the first machine, that is Q01, and the transitions here will be union of transition of first machine, transitions of second machine, and there is one extra transition, that is a null transition. So from any state P on the reading null, okay, you are going to connect the automata to the initial state of machine 2, that is Q02. Okay, where P is a subset of A1. We are asked to prove that given a language L1, then the clean star, that is L1 star, is also a regular language. Now, as I have told you in the previous proof also, if we are able to prove that there exists an automata for L1 star, then we can say that L1 star is also regular. So, formally, we can prove L1 star is regular by designing an automata capital N that recognizes L1 star. For this, we will use proof by construction. Let M1 be an automata to recognize the language L1. So let's consider that this is that automata M1, okay, that accepts language L1. Q01 is the start state, Q1n is the final state of automata M1 recognizing L1. Okay, so in that case now, a new automata capital N to recognize L1 star can be constructed as follows. So we are going to construct a new automata now. First, all the states and transitions of M1 are added to N. Okay, so let N be, okay, first all the states and transitions of M1 are added to N. So I will write Q01, okay, and then dot 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 q1n okay. So what I have done in this resultant automata, I have added all the states and transitions of the machine M1. First step. Second, all the final states of M1 are made as non-final states of the machine N. So if there are any final states, those final states are made as non-final states of machine N. So Q1N, which was the final state, okay, of the original machine, now it is made as non-final state. A new initial state Q new. A new initial state Q new is added to the automata N. Okay. So I will now no longer Q01 will be the initial state. Rather, I will now draw a new initial state. Okay. Q new. So a new initial state is introduced to the automata N. So a new initial state Q new is added to N. It is made as both initial and the final state of N. So this Q new is made as initial as well as the final state. Okay, so this Q new will be initial as well as the final state. So Q01 is no longer the initial state. That's the meaning of it. Then a transition is provided from this new state to the initial state of M1. Okay, so we have to provide a transition from this initial state. Okay, null transition is provided from this new initial state to the start state of M1, a null transition. And I forgot to write another step here. I will write it now. Each step. Okay, null transitions are added from final states of M1 to the initial state of N. Okay, so last point, null transitions are added from the final states of N1 to the initial state of N. So, which was the final state of M1? It was Q1N. Now it is no longer final state. So from this state, we are going to provide a null transition to the new initial and the final state Q new. Now, if there were more final states for M1, from all those states, a null transition you would have provided to Q new. Okay, and this is how a new automata N, okay, recognizing L1 star is designed. Okay, so then finally we say, okay, since it is possible to draw a finite automata for recognizing L1 star, it proves that L1 star is also regular. So this is the end of the proof. Now before I end with this particular video lecture, the last thing, you must have realized that to prove that L1 union L2 is regular, or L1 dot L2 is regular, or L1 star is regular, to prove these, we use certain procedure, and using this procedure we designed an automata N, and then we said since automata N is possible, that recognizes either this language or this language, we say that L1 union L2 or L1 dot L2 or L1 star, they are all regular. Okay. Now the question is, how have we got this procedure? So this procedure, which is proof by construction procedure, is given by a scientist whose name is Thomson. So the procedure is called as Thomson's construction. Okay, and when we design or when we studied null NFA, okay, I must have told you that there are so many uses of null NFA. One particular use of null NFA is using Thomson's construction mechanism. Null NFA can be used to design new languages. Languages of these types. So with this, I end the lecture. Thank you.